This is going to be a bit of a rant. So I apologize in advance, um, but I'm going to do it because I feel compelled at this point. Zoomers at the gym. And just to say this at first before you guys start spurging in the comments, this is not all of them. It's not a generalization. But I just have to say this because I am actually very curious to know other people's experiences. We're going to talk about Zoomers at the gym for a second, but before I get into that, I do just want to say this is probably going to touch on other topics as well. I'm 35, as you all know, if you've been following the channel for a while. Um, so I'm at that age, I feel like, where uh it's sort of half and half for me, right? Like I've spent about half of my life maybe utilizing like a cell phone in some way, but I'm also old enough where I remember what the world was like before, the internet. Well, not necessarily before the internet, but before cell phones were everywhere, before the internet was like a terminally online thing, like before you could be terminally online. Like when I was growing up, that wasn't really a thing. I didn't have my first cell phone actually until I was 17 years old. And I didn't get one until I was old enough to buy the phone myself and pay the phone bill each month because my mom was not going to be doing that for me. She made clear. So my first phone was one of those little Nokia bricks. If you know, you know. If you're from my age, if you're close enough in my age, you will know the Nokia phones were basically like it was a cell phone and you could text with it, but there were the way that the phone was set up is the screen was so tiny and your actual like buttons were so small. There were three letters for each button. So if you wanted to type a text a long text message, you had to press the button like three times till you got the letter you wanted. So it took a lot more time to do that. So I feel like we didn't really spend time doing that. We just called each other usually. Like we did text each other in school with our phones. Like but I had such a small experience with that, like I said, because I didn't get a phone until I was 17, and then my mom threw me out, and then I had to drop out of school. So I only had it for a little period of time, but I don't really remember us. It wasn't like you had your phone with you, but it was mostly just to make phone calls. It wasn't even really for texting each other. We might send each other like something short and silly, but that was it. It wasn't like you were on it constantly or at lunch that you were even taking it out of your backpack. You would actually just hang out and talk to your friends that were there in person. It wasn't like it wasn't this constant thing that everybody was glued to. So I remember growing up like that and I remember how things were. But I also remember, obviously I've used a phone for a long time, so I know what that's like too. I understand. Um, you know, I feel like I can imagine what it must be like for Zoomers growing up, where they are, and sometimes it's hard to remember that they have been born with this technology and they're growing up with it. So they've always been, I guess they don't remember a time where they weren't on a device. There's no point in their life except maybe when they were very, very, very young where these things weren't always there, okay? So I think this has really negatively affected them. And I feel so bad about doing this. I'm not going to, give any identifiers, but I am calling out some of the Zoomers from my gym because this is like, where I interact with them the most in my day to day life, like actually in person versus online. And so I just wanted to talk about those experiences. Um, it's so weird because there's this one kid who he comes in and he's always wearing this oversized hoodie with the hood actually pulled up over his head, to the point where his hair, he has the zoomer, it's not a zoomer perm, but it's like the floofy, you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, like the zoomer floof thing with the hair. So he pulls the hoodie down, and then he has the hair kind of going down, and then it lifts up a little bit, so it covers like his eyes, so you cannot even see this kid's face really. He comes in with the hood down, his hair like this, and he's always looking down into his phone, and when he's at his head down like this, you really can't see a face. You can see like from here down. And anyways, so I've watched this kid, and it's not a one-off observation. I've been watching for a while now, because he comes in around the time that I start, where pretty much when I'm done with my cardio and I actually start going to use the machines, that's like when he starts coming in. And he will sit down on a machine and monopolize it for just like 15 minutes straight, just sitting there. And I watch him. He sits on the machine, and he doesn't even work out. Like, he doesn't even exercise. I don't know what this is, but he'll do like maybe 4 reps of like, and it doesn't even look like he's trying to do it right or put in any effort at all. Like, like at least trying to have proper form. He literally just looks like he's half acidly, like just going like this. And he'll do it not even for a full, set or whatever, would maybe like 10 reps or whatnot. He literally will do it maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 tops. Then he stops, leans forward, like slouches forward, and takes out his phone, and he's like this the whole time. And he'll just sit there on his phone. And I'm watching this kid, like, wondering, what is he doing? Like, the first couple times I saw him do it, I thought maybe this kid's just got a lot going on. Maybe he's just distracted. But he does this the entire time he is at the gym, and he will monopolize the equipment. And like, it's just, there's no consideration for all of the other people who are trying to use the equipment, who come into the gym. Most of us have limited time. We have like maybe 1 or 2 hours to work out, so we're trying to get in and out. We're trying to, very quickly use a machine and get off of it. I never am on my phone like that. I keep my phone in my pocket. Like, I'll put on a podcast or a playlist, put it in my pocket, and then I actually go about my business and I use the equipment. That's what I'm there for. It's what I'm paying for. So the other thing too is, I know other people are also, and out of consideration for others, if I know I need to check a text message or something, I don't first sit down on the equipment to do it. I will stand away, stand to the side, not monopolize something, check my message, do whatever it is I have to do on my phone, then I put it away, and then I will go sit down and actually work out. I thought that was just proper behavior. Nobody had to tell me to do that. It's just understanding that you have to be considerate of other people, and that it is rude to do that. And it's like these young kids do not have an understanding of, like, outside of themselves. It's as if and I think this is because they've been raised on social media and their cell phones, where they're like these little narcissists in a way. And I'm not saying they're all narcissists or narcissistic at all, but I am saying that they don't seem to, they're so distracted in their devices and in their own world. They seem sort of oblivious to what's going on around them, even in a gym where, you would think that you would understand what the purpose of being at the gym is. And this kid's paying for a gym membership, and I never actually see him work out. And I've observed him many times. I see him do it every time. He just sits there, monopolizes a machine, screws around with a couple of these, and then he's on his phone. And it is like, it's so frustrating because he's done this when I've been there. You know, we have stations where it's like four different machines in a station, right? And they're all similar, like upper body machines or whatever, what have you. So I'll go and I'll use all three of them. I complete all three of them, and I'm like waiting on the last one, and he's just sitting there with his freaking hoodie on, covering his face, slouched down, screwing around on his phone, monopolizing the machine. Like, go sit in the locker room if you're just going to play on your phone. Why are you taking up? Ugh! So I have yet to actually confront the kid, but I've really been wanting to. And for the Zoomer girls, they're a little different. Usually they come in packs. So because I go early in the morning, I don't interact with a lot of them. Thank goodness. But that's just a joke, by the way. Nothing against Zoomers generally. I know I have a lot of you guys that listen, but they're the young girls that come in groups, and they kind of do the same thing, but they do screw around on their phones, but they also like congregate. So they come in packs, and then they all will congregate around a machine or something and sit there and chit chat with each other and like gossip. So they'll actually, well, this is debatable. They kind of use them, or they at least make more of an effort to look like they're using them properly or actually using them at all, instead of just sitting there and then talking to their friends. But they do the same thing though. It's like they don't notice other people around them who are kind of standing there off to the side waiting for them to finish up at the station and to leave or move. And I don't like either, like when I'm sitting there and I'm trying to work out and they're right next to me at one of these things, and they've got two of their friends just standing there hovering and they're yapping, and I'm sitting here, and I don't like people hovering next to me. I don't like encroachments into my personal space, but they're oblivious to the personal space of others. They just, they're all in their own world, okay? And I could go on. Here's another one. We have, and this shouldn't even need to be a thing, right? Like, it should be self-explanatory. In the women's locker room, when you first walk in, there's a big sign that says, "Do not take pictures or videos in the locker room." Hello? Obviously, because women are showering here, they get dressed here, they're coming out of the shower in their towels. Nobody wants you taking selfies of them, of yourself, while they're in the background or the foreground of your picture in a towel. So, common courtesy would suggest, and the sign tells you, you're not supposed to be taking selfies in the locker room where other women are trying to get dressed. But for these young Zoomer women, they come in with they all wear these big earphones, the over the head kind with the Bluetooth and the noise cancellation. So they have their music blasting. They're not, and they're just not listening. They have no idea what's going on around them. They're just in their world. And so this girl, comes into the locker room, and the way that the locker room is set up, like, why would you even want to take a selfie with that in the background? It's not very aesthetically pleasing looking. So I'm going from the restroom side to the locker room side, and here she is standing there like this with her phone out. I know she's taking selfies, and the sign is right behind her that literally says, "Do not take pictures or videos in here." And I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? You know, I'm interested to know what you guys think if you've had these experiences. I've had experiences with other generations in the gym too, don't get me wrong. That would be another video though. But even like there's even the older, more elderly folks that come into the gym, they don't do stuff like that. They do monopolize the equipment, but only because it takes them longer to do what they need to do. But they actually are trying at least to work out, um, rather than just coming in and screwing around like this and then just screwing around on your phone, or just coming in with your friends to stand next to a machine and gossip and talk. And part of this too for these young girls is dressing in semi provocative outfits, and some of them even do their makeup coming into the gym with makeup on. But yeah, some of them even put on makeup and perfume. I shit you not. And the perfume always like, I think I have an allergy to like strong fragrance. It always makes my heart race, and like I don't like it. I use very like natural uh like oil type things for scent. I don't like strong, overwhelming perfume smell. That it's almost like old lady smell. You know, where you're walking by a woman and she's got like drenched in the perfume, and there's just this cloud of like smell that billows past, you know, as she walks by. It wafts into your face for a second and you get hit with the like the perfume smell. I don't know why it's necessary to do this when you're going to the gym to work out and then you're gonna need to shower anyways. Like, I don't know why they do this, but they do. As long as they're not bothering anybody, though, it doesn't really bother me that much. It's just kind of like humorous to me. But, anyways, uh, I'm interested to know because I want, like, I know there's some of you guys who are of the younger generation who listen in, and I do interact with you guys online, but my only real, like, day-to-day interaction with the Zoomers is in typically, like, at the gym, or it's just like, where else do I see them? Like at the store or something, but it's not like a real interaction. So there's not as much of a chance to like observe them. And I feel like it's hard to tell from what you see on social media, like, because there's a lot of them on social media, but that doesn't represent their generation as a whole. So I like to judge more by my like actual interactions with them in day to day life. And that's typically what it's like, that they're completely buried in these devices. They're distracted by them. They must have been raised by these devices from like a very young age where they cannot, for even 1 to 2 hours, put the thing down and just leave it alone. I don't know why that's so difficult. And I don't know why it's difficult for them to understand common courtesy, being considerate of other people at the gym, and not, taking selfies in a locker room. Why do you need to be taking selfies at the gym anyway? I just don't understand it. But that's it. That's my rant for today. So, I'm interested to know what you guys think, if you've had any similar experiences. All right, guys, have a good day.